The cloud-based project management software Procore is a fantastic tool for project teams in the construction industry. However, those who have entered an invoice or claim into Procore know there is a high number of mouse clicks involved to navigate to the Create Commitment Progress Claim screen on top of the obligatory data entry. Partnering with Procore, FileBound Australia created an integrated cloud-based capture solution that extracts the relevant data right off your emailed invoices and claims, then validates it against commitment, project and supplier in Procore. Let's take a closer look now at how this solution can assist Procore users to prime the system with subcontractor claims, create and populate an invoice from validated purchase order data in Procore, and manage exceptions should they arise. First, just to provide a baseline for this demonstration, I'd like to take a look in the FileBound Procore Invoices project just to see how many invoices we currently have in the system. And there are 7. Now, as previously mentioned, the first step to invoice processing is extracting the relevant data from the incoming invoices and claims. As you can see here, we have a number of invoices in our inbox. In the first scenario, we'll process the claim. This is done by simply moving the email from the inbox into the import folder. By doing this, the attached invoice is ingested and data is captured. The email is then automatically moved to the appropriate folder. Now when we view FileBound and refresh the window, we can see the number of invoices has increased by 1 to 8. The subcontractor claim invoice has entered the system, with as much required information captured as possible. This will now be transferred straight across to Procore without any intervention. If I refresh the window, we can see that the status has changed to exported, meaning this has occurred. This is possible as we've been able to capture the ABN for supplier verification and claim number off the invoice, which is matched up to a commitment number in Procore, that then allows us to create the commitment claim entry within Procore. So let's take a look in Procore. If I go into my commitments list and go down to the subcontract record for landscaping, then go across to the commitment progress claims tab, you'll see I have a record that's been entered into the system. If we view this record, you'll see what it has done is created this summary entry for the commitment claim. The billing date will match the invoice date. The status is under review, which is going to trigger notifications as per your Procore setup to the project team, most likely your CA. The total claimed amount and the percent complete will be left blank. This is so the project team can come in, they can go into the detail lines and populate the information accordingly for what needs to be paid or disputed to the subcontractor. Additionally, we can see back on the summary page that the actual invoice document that was sent in is going to be attached to the record for the project team, so they can view on Procore Mobile as well. In the second scenario, we'll process an invoice that is associated with a purchase order. In fact, I'm going to drop both of these emails into the import folder so we don't have to wait later. Once again, we can see here the count on the processed folder has increased. By refreshing the screen in FileBound, the file count has also increased by 2, reflecting the recently captured invoices. Both of these invoices will now be going through the validation process to see if we can match up the supplier and commitment number to a record within Procore. If I refresh this now, I have a status of exported on the purchase order record. Let's go into Procore and see what that looks like. I'll locate the commitment and go to the commitment progress claims, and we can see I have an entry with a status of under review to trigger those notifications. Now if I look at this record, again you'll see the invoice date has come across as well as the supplier, and it's obviously attached to this commitment. What you'll notice though with a purchase order is that I have an amount complete of 100%. So what happens with a purchase order invoice is there'll actually be validation to confirm whether the purchase order amount matches the amount that was on the commitment and whether or not there are any previous records against that purchase order. If it is the first record and we have a matching value amount between the invoice and the purchase order, the line items are marked as approved and the claimed amount as well as the quantities are populated. This removes manual intervention on these line items, effectively creating a straight-through process where the purchase order matches. The final scenario, the exception, is waiting for us in FileBound and has also notified us by email. In FileBound, what you can see on the left-hand side is a series of statuses that at a glance are going to help me determine where documents are in the process. So as an accounts payable user that needs to handle exceptions, I can perform a search or utilize a saved search that quickly identifies for me the invoices that need to be actioned. The one we sent through earlier was for Andrea's flowers. So if I open this document up in the web viewer, you'll see the invoices in the middle, the metadata on the left-hand side and the document notes are on the right, which explain to me what I need to do to fix this invoice. In this case, it doesn't have a commitment, so it can't be transferred across to Procore. So I know this invoice is associated to this subcontract for landscaping, which I select from the list. If I update the status to transfer to Procore and save these changes, this will trigger the system to transfer the data across to Procore. By refreshing the window, we can see the status is updated to exported, and I should have another record against this subcontract for this invoice within Procore. So back to commitments, then landscaping, and here we can see the commitment progress claims count is now 3, and we can see that there's a new entry. Finally, here we can see back in FileBound that the number of invoices requiring review has reduced by 1. This solution can then also be expanded to integrate with your finance system at the end of the Procore process, thus creating a full inbound and outbound solution for your Procore financials. I trust this has demonstrated how the FileBound Procore invoice capture solution benefits an organisation using Procore. Firstly, and most obviously, it drastically speeds up the invoice and claim entry process, getting the data to the contracts administrator faster, empowering them to process the claim within the legislative timeframes. It provides transparency over incoming invoices and the status of invoices. It drastically reduces data entry. The AP team handle exceptions to the process, and the capture solution will enter the rest. It provides the AP team with a highly improved user experience when correcting data before integration into Procore.